Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Mataji, please make him co-host.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone to our Mahabharat character series. We'll begin with our prayers. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार शिवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna. So welcome everyone. So we are discussing about the life of Yudhishthir Maharaj. And last time we heard how Yudhishthir Maharaj, he was such a embodiment of wonderful qualities that all the citizens, they liked him. They wanted him to become the king. But Kauravas, headed by Duryodhan, they didn't want Yudhishthir Maharaj and Pandavas to rule. So therefore, they tried everything. They tried to burn them. They poisoned Bhima, and but somehow, by the mercy of Krishna, by the intervention of the devotees like Vidura, they were always saved. And then ultimately, Duryodhan, when he saw the opulence of Yudhishthir in the form of this palace which was made by Maya Danav, he saw the opulence of Rajasuya sacrifice. His heart burnt with envy, and he came back and told his father Dhritarashtra that I cannot tolerate all this. You have to do something. And then he gave an idea. Shakuni, in fact, he told that we cannot defeat Pandavas in fighting. So we have to defeat them by gambling match. In a cheating, we have to cheat them. We cannot defeat them in a proper fight. And with this thought, Dhritarashtra also agreed because he was so very weak-hearted. He could not reject the idea which was given by Duryodhan, his son. Then ultimately, Yudhishthir and all the Pandavas, along with Draupadi, they came to Hastinapur, and they were next day morning. They were there in the assembly hall, which was specially made for this gambling match. So Yudhishthir Maharaj first of all tried to avoid gambling match. He said, "Actually, I don't need wealth. I have enough wealth to rule for 100 years. Even if I don't do any fighting, even if I don't do anything, I have enough wealth to rule. I don't want to gamble." He said, the great saints like Devala, they have always told that you should not gamble with a professional gamester. And Yudhishthir, he knew that he is not expert in gambling. So he was trying his best to avoid this gambling match. He said, moreover, one should not usurp others' wealth in unfair ways. Shakuni, when he heard, he saw that things were not going in the right way. He said in a provoking way. He said, "Oh Yudhishthir, if you are afraid, then you don't have to play." For a Kshatriya, to be called as fearful or coward is the greatest insult. In fact, for a Kshatriya, insult is worse than death. That's what Krishna is telling to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita. Akirtim chapi tani kathayishyanti te vyayam sambhavitasya chakirtir marnadatirichyate. Arjuna, he was telling, I will go to forest, I don't want to fight. Krishna told Arjuna that, oh Arjuna, if you will go to forest, your enemies, they will not glorify you for being a peace loving personality. They will criticize you. They will tell, oh, you are Arjuna was a coward. He ran away from the battle. You'll be insulted, you'll be disgraced. And for a Kshatriya, dishonor is worse than death. Shakuni, he was just hitting at the weakest point. And of course, if Kshatriya is challenged for gambling, he cannot say no. If a Kshatriya is approached by a proper woman, he cannot say no. He has to accept that. And these are the some codes. Yudhishthira said, the wealth which I have is supposed to serve the Brahmanas, is supposed to serve the citizens. I don't want to squander that wealth in gambling match. I have to take care of the spiritual and material well-being of everyone. So why do you want me to fight? Why do you want me to gamble? Sorry. You know, I don't want to spend my money. I don't want to lose my money in such ways. Yudhishthira was trying his best. Entire assembly was silent. Nobody said anything, including Bhishma, Drona, Kripa. Yudhishthira understood that he had no option left because the elders invited him for gambling match, so he had to gamble. But then Yudhishthir, he thought maybe I should try some other way. He said, if I have to gamble, who has wealth equal to me? Who will put stake in front of me? I have the wealth of all the worlds. Shakuni, although he was very expert in gambling, but he was not having much wealth. He was the king of Kandhar, but still he was nothing in comparison to Yudhishthir Maharaj. So Yudhishthir said, oh, who will put stake in front of me? Duryodhan got up. He said, on behalf of Shakuni, I will put stake and Shakuni will throw the dice. Yudhishthir said, no, this is not proper. He raised his voice. This is not according to the rules of gambling match. The person who is throwing the dice, he has to put the stake. Again, he looked at Dhritarashtra, Bhishma. Nobody said anything. They were silent. Yudhishthir had no option left. He started gambling. Some acharyas, they say that actually after this Rajasuya sacrifice, there was a friendly gambling match. There was a ritual that you have to play a friendly gambling match. It was nothing, very serious. And Dhritarashtra, he called Yudhishthir Maharaj on the plea of coming and playing this gambling match just for a ritual. So Yudhishthir, he ultimately agreed and he started losing everything. With every stake, he was just losing. All his treasure was lost, all his jewels, money, property. He was losing everything. Arjuna, he went ahead and he put his hand on the shoulder of Yudhishthir, pointing out just to stop all this gambling match. But Yudhishthir, he was in a frenzy of gambling now. This is a very, very important lesson for everyone. This incident shows how gambling is so very destructive. What is the influence of gambling? And for that matter, any vice, any of the sinful things which a person is engaging in, the more he engages himself in the vices, the more he develops a craving to do it again. That is a simple equation. And that happens always. The more one engages in something sinful, the more he develops a desire to do it again. Just like a alcoholic, the more he drinks, the more he wants to drink. the intensity increases, frequency increases, and the propensity to drink also increases. That is for every wrong thing which we are doing. And for that matter, that is there for every good thing also. Whatever thing we do every day, we get a habit of doing it, you know, more and more. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसः सङ्गस्तेषुपजायते सङ्गात् सञ्जायते कामाः कामात् क्रोधोऽभिजायते क्रोधाद् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रमः स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति. This is the sequence of fall down. These two verses from second chapter 2.62 and 63, they are very, very important verses, especially for a person who is on the path of spiritual life. We contemplate, whatever we contemplate on, we develop a desire to do it more and more. Dhyayato. Dhyayato means contemplation. When we contemplate on something, we develop a desire to do that thing more and more. So therefore, in this world, which is full of distractions, where all the advertising industry, social media is bombarding our mind with so many thoughts, so many desires, we have to be really careful which desires we should meditate on, which thoughts we should ponder on upon, and which we should not. And this story, this incident of Yudhishthira Maharaj, doing this gambling, engaging in this vice of gambling, all the Arjuna, he pointed out, "Oh, my brother, please stop now." But Yudhishthir could not stop. Only thing that was heard in the assembly was the sound of Shakuni throwing the dice, and after some time, Shakuni is saying, "Oh, I have won, I have won." Yudhishthir Maharaj, Yudhishthir Maharaj lost everything, his entire property, palace, treasury, everything was lost. His whole kingdom was lost. Shakuni said, "O king," he said in a very taunting voice, "O king, what will you stake now?" Yudhishthir was desperate. He had to get his kingdom back. He had to get his treasury back. Otherwise, how he would sustain his citizens, how he would live. He was in complete anxiety. He was praying to Krishna. And then he said, "This brother of mine, Nakul, he is full of wonderful qualities. He is most powerful of the sword fighters. I shall gamble him." And he put Nakula on stake. The whole assembly gasped. And then Shakuni threw the dice. Nakula was lost. Then Yudhishthira Maharaj, he staked Sahadev, and he also was lost. Everyone in the assembly was shocked. Yudhishthir, he was completely devastated. Dhritarashtra, there was a glee on his face. He was smiling. He could not maintain that hypocritical mask anymore, because that's what he wanted. He wanted his sons to become the king. And now that was coming true. He was becoming happy. He was happy seeing all these events going on. Shakuni, he goaded Yudhishthira Maharaj. He said, "It seems that sons of Madri are not dear to you. And that's why you have staked them first. And you're not staking the sons of Kunti, your own real brothers." Yudhishthir, when he heard this, he was enraged. He said, Oh fool, you are trying to create dissension among brothers. This is very, very interesting. Yudhishthira said, we are united at heart, and you are, by your sinful, evil ways, you are trying to create dissension. You know, we have to understand that when somebody criticizes our near ones, our friends, we have to be very intolerant. We should never hear criticism of our near and dear ones, our friends, because that is a slow poison. We know the famous story of Kaikai and Manthara. Slowly, although Kaikai had such love for Ram, Manthara, she spoke such harsh words against Ram that Kaikai, her mind got changed. Whenever someone tells us something about our friends or our dear ones, we have to ask three questions before hearing. First, you should ask, is it a good thing which you are going to tell me? Something good about my friends, something good about my near ones? Secondly, are you sure whatever you are telling is right? Because many times, people, they like to gossip. They'll hear something and they will tell something else. As they say in Hindi, Raika Pahad, the thing will be very small and then you exaggerate the whole thing. So we have to ask first, is it a good thing? Are you sure it is right? And is it going to do any benefit to me? If these three things are answered properly, then you should hear it. If it is a good thing, if the person is sure it is right, and if that thing is going to benefit us, then we can hear. Otherwise, this criticism is a very slow poison. It is like a termite which spoils the relationship without even our knowing, and one day the entire building will collapse. So, therefore, Shakuni, he was trying to create dissension. When he saw this anger of Yudhishthir, he became concerned. He did not want this gambling match to end. Immediately, he changed his, expression. He said, "Oh, king, I was not, meaning that, in when somebody is gambling, under the spell of gambling, one may speak things which is not supposed to speak. Those things should not be taken seriously. Oh, king, please let us continue gambling. Please forgive me for all the wrong things which I have said." Yudhishthir, he wanted to get everything back somehow or other, and therefore he staked Arjuna. He started glorifying the beautiful, wonderful qualities of Arjuna, how he was so very powerful. He had defeated all the Devatas. He was the one who could defeat the entire army of Kaurava single handedly. Glorified him in choicest words, and then he staked him. Shakuni threw his dice. Arjuna was also lost. Bhima, he was saying all this. And as he was seeing all this, he was becoming enraged. He was fuming with anger. Yudhishthira Maharaj, he staked Bhima. He was also lost. Then he staked himself. He was also lost. Yudhishthira was completely devastated. He was not able to understand anything now, what to do, how he will survive. He was emperor of the world and now he was a slave. Shakuni, he said, "O king, you have still one possession left." Everybody was surprised to hear this. He said, "You have Draupadi, stake Draupadi and win back everything." Entire assembly, just condemned this thought. Yudhishthir, he understood that there is only one last chance left for me to get the kingdom back. I have to stake Draupadi. And he started glorifying the quality of Draupadi. This lady, She has come from sacrifice. She's not too tall, too short. She's not, you know, she's the first to get up and last to sleep. She's the embodiment of all the qualities. And then he staked Draupadi. And as Draupadi was staked, gasps of dismay and horror filled the entire assembly. Everyone started, you know, criticizing and condemning Duryodhan and Shakuni for their evil ways. Dhritarashtra asked, "Oh, has Panchali been won?" He could not stop his emotions. Openly he said, "Oh, has Panchali been won? Please tell me what is happening in the assembly." Shakuni, he threw his dice, and Draupadi was also lost. Yudhishthira was terrified now. He was not knowing what to do, what not to do. Karna, Dushashan, Shakuni, Duryodhan, they all delighted. They were rejoicing the victory. Karna said, "Now Draupadi is our maid servant. She does not deserve to stay in the royal palace. She should stay with the maid servants in the maid servant quarters. Bring her." And Pratikamin was sent. Pratikamin himself was very apprehensive because of the whole situation. He was very fearful. He very humbly he went and appeared in front of Draupadi and he told the whole thing. And after that, what happened, we have discussed in great detail when we discussed about Draupadi. How ultimately Draupadi, she was brought and there was a whole discussion. Then ultimately nobody heard, nobody replied. And Duryodhan gave orders to Dushashan that you disrobe Draupadi. And ultimately she was saved by the intervention of Krishna. Dhritarashtra became very fearful, gave the kingdom back to Draupadi, gave everything back. And then the Pandavas and Draupadi, they were returning back. They returned. Duryodhan, he was completely, frustrated because of this whole thing. He was thinking, "Oh, I won everything, and because of one foolish decision, I have lost everything." He was exasperated. He was complaining. He went to Dhritarashtra and he started complaining that, "Oh, father, you have, spoiled the whole thing. I want this kingdom. Please do something." Shakuni said, "You should call them back. Call them for another gambling match." And said, "This time we will have this stake. Whoever loses, he will have to go to forest for 12 years and 1 year incognito." The idea was that, because Kshatriyas, it is very difficult for Kshatriyas to go to forest and live in such a humble way. And on top of that, to stay incognito, not being recognized by anybody, it is very, very humiliating. And on top of that, Pandavas, they were so famous. They, Shakuni was thinking that, oh, it would be impossible for them to stay incognito. And we'll find them again. And if they're found, then again they'll have to go to forest for 12 years, followed by 1 year incognito. In that way, they were thinking, we'll send Pandavas to forest forever. Dhritarashtra, when he heard this, he said, "Oh, okay, oh my son, stop it now. Things were about to become, things were about to go out of hand, but somehow situation is in control now. Now please give up your dubious ways. Accept the destiny. Please don't create more deception." Duryodhan said, "Oh father, do you think Pandavas will stay quiet after all this? They are already so angry, and if we don't do anything, they will amass more and more army and they will defeat us. So best is if we can send them to forest And when they're in forest, we will make allies with all the other armies and will become powerful so that we can defeat them in war. Dhritarashtra, he was so weak hearted that he could not say no. He was completely confused. He could not say no. This is very, very interesting, right? Many times we know that this is wrong. Dhritarashtra knew that his son was wrong, but still he was not able to choose the right. This happens many times. We know something is wrong, the way I am behaving is wrong, the way I am speaking is wrong, the way I am acting is wrong, but still I cannot stop doing it. Why does this happen? Krishna also, Arjuna also asks the same thing to Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. अथ केन प्रयुक्तोऽयं पापं चरति पूरुषः अनिच्छन्नपि वार्ष्णेय बलाद् इव नियोजितः. Arjuna asked Krishna, "Oh Krishna, why does a person engage in something sinful, although he does not want to do it, but still he does it? What is the reason? Papam charati, why does a person engage in something sinful?" Krishna answers, very profound verse. काम एष क्रोध एष रजोगुण समुद्भवः महाशनो महापाप्मा विद्धेनमिह वैरिणम्. Kama and Krodha, the desire to enjoy the things of the world, is the only cause of losing our discrimination. This is called Hridaya Daurbalyam. Hridaya Daurbalyam means weakness of the heart. When we are attached to the things or people of the world, we are ready to do anything to get them, either things or people. We are ready to do anything to please our beloved, whether right or wrong. We forget, oh, this is not the right way. How to overcome this weakness of the heart? Because this is very, very prevalent, especially in current scenario where so many desires are being bombarded on the mind. All these advertising industries, social media, our friends, so many things are put in our mind. How to maintain our conviction, how to maintain our determination to take right decisions, to be on the right path, how to overcome this Hridaya Daurbalyam. Krishna speaks very nicely in Bhagavad Gita. After he speaks this verse, Kama Esha, Krodha Esha, Rajoguna Samudbhava, he says, "Oh Arjun, use your intelligence, sharpen your intelligence with the sword of knowledge. Ritstham jnanasinatmanah chitvainam samshayam yogam atishthoptishta bharata." Krishna says, "Oh Arjun, just get up and fight. Cut off this doubt of your doubt from your mind, which is risen because of the illusion, because of the attachment to the things and people of the world. Just dispel this ignorance by using the sword of knowledge." Regular reading of scriptures play a very, very important role to make our mind very strong, to take right decisions. Regular reading of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Mahabharat gives us a very wonderful foundation on which we can, take right decisions. We can discriminate right from wrong by being with those people who who are inclined towards righteousness, by praying to Krishna, by trying our best, you know we have to depend on Lord. We have to take shelter of scriptures, but our personal determination is very, very important. If you are not determined personally, then all these scriptures may not help us. There is an example. Generally the birds, just like the birds which are migratory birds, they fly long distances and they fly in a formation many times, like V shaped or some formation. This formation helps them to go for long distance. It reduces the resistance of the air, they get encouragement from each other. In this way, they cover thousands of miles many times. But if one particular bird is physically weak, personally, the bird does not have strength, cannot fly, the other birds will not help that bird to fly. The bird will fall down. Similarly, in the spiritual life, in our day to day life, in our spiritual life, of course, we have to be with people who are virtuous, who are spiritual, who are devotees. We have to take shelter of scriptures. These things, they give us right foundation, but our personal strength is also equally important. If we are not personally strong, then these things may not help us. We have to be determined. There is no option in this world. As Srila Prabhupada, they would say, if you have no determination, you are an animal. Only animal does not have any determination. So we have to be determined to practice spiritual life. To choose right from the wrong requires determination. Dhritarashtra, because he was always with all these sinful people, personally he was not determined because he was attached to things of the world. How to be determined, how to choose right? For that, we have to go beyond the material level. When we start seeing things on spiritual level, when we are not just concerned by the immediate benefits, we are concerned about the ultimate benefits also. That gives us determination to choose the right thing. It may look very difficult. Just like the small child does not know that if he takes some medicine, if he is falling sick, if he takes medicine, he'll get better. But as child grows, he understands, so this medicine, although it is bitter, it is for my benefit. I'll have to take it. Similarly, as we develop the knowledge of the futility of the material world, how the things of this world cannot give me permanent happiness, we will get the strength to be determined. So Dhritarashtra, he could not say no. He again sent Pratikamin to call the Pandavas back. Pandavas had gone way ahead, about to reach their kingdom, but they heard the horses rushing towards them. They stopped, and Pratikamin, he told what was the order of Dhritarashtra. Yudhishthira Maharaj, when he heard this, he was completely surprised, confused, shocked. But he understood whose plan was this. In the palace of Hastinapur, this news spread that another gambling match is being arranged. All the crew elders, they became so very astonished. They all opposed, but it was of no avail. When Gandhari heard this, she became so very angry. She came running to Dhritarashtra. She had heard about the Draupadi, what all she had to go through, how she was dishonored, disgraced, she went to Dhritarashtra and said, O king, Duryodhan has become mad for power. He is not able to distinguish what is good, what is bad. Why somebody will put fuel in the fire which has already been extinguished? She said, Duryodhan, he has become completely mad because of the intoxication of power. He has become madandh. He has become dhanandh. You know, she continued. She said, when Duryodhan was born, Vidura told you that time only that you abandon your son. This son will become the cause of the destruction of the entire dynasty. Because when Duryodhan was born, there are so many inauspicious omens in the sky, in the ground. Jackals were howling, the asses were braying, and all the inauspicious birds were hovering over the palace. Vidura could understand that, oh, the sun is very inauspicious. Gandhari told, that time you did not listen to him. Now, please abandon your son. It is very, very difficult for a mother to say all this. She also had a heart of a mother, because every mother, however sinful the son may be, mother always thinks, my son is not so bad. People are misunderstanding him. But Gandhari, she was a very chaste lady and she was a very intelligent lady also. She could understand that this Duryodhan will become the cause of the destruction of the entire dynasty. Many times in our lives, we are put into dilemma to listen to our heart or to our head. You know, Heart says something because heart is full of love and affection for some dear ones. But head is telling something else. Our intelligence is telling something else. Gandhari could understand that although Duryodhan is my son, but still, if he stays here, entire dynasty will be destroyed. It is described in Subhashit. त्यजेत कुलार्थे पुरुषम ग्रामस्यार्थे कुलम त्यजेत ग्रामम जनपदस्यार्थे आत्मार्थे पृथ्वीम त्यजेत. Very, very wonderful Subhashit verse, shlok. This verse says, Tyajet kula arthe purusham. One should be ready to give up a person to save the family. To save the dynasty, one person should be given up. Gramasyarthe kulam tyajet. A village, one family can be sacrificed. Gramam janapadasyarthe, to save a city, a small village can be sacrificed. Atmarthe prithvim tyajet. This is very interesting. If we want to become successful in life, we should be ready to give up the attachment towards the things of the world. Atma arthe. If we want to become successful in our lives, spiritual success, then we should be ready to give up the material things of the world. So Gandhari, she tried her best. She was far-sighted. You know, conditioned soul has the desire to enjoy, and for that he cannot take right decisions if the enjoyment is obstructed. Gandhari, she was very intelligent. She was a chaste lady. She knew, she understood that this is not the right thing. You know. So therefore we have to understand one should be ready to give up one's own personal whims and fancies to advance in spiritual life. One may have certain desires, one may have certain ideas, but for the higher welfare, one should be ready to give up those desires and ideas. You have to become far-sighted. Material civilization makes us short-sighted, very, very short-sighted. You know, only the immediate benefits are shown to us. The far disaster which is there in the future, it is not shown to us. So as a mother, Gandhari, she had all the love for Duryodhan, but still she could see the disaster. And she told that please give up, abandon the son now. She wanted that Dhritarashtra should come to the senses. But Dhritarashtra, he was not able to understand all this. Gandhari knew that Dhritarashtra will not be able to do this. So she said, I have to stop this gambling match. You know, but Dhritarashtra, he said, he knew that she was saying right, but still he could not follow. He said, if it is ordained by destiny, then what can I do? If the destiny is, if my whole dynasty is about to be destroyed, then what can I do? Vidura and all the, saintly people, they were telling again and again Dhritarashtra that please don't be arrogant, just be humble, surrender to the instructions of superiors, and give this kingdom to Pandavas. Sometimes we are so arrogant and we are so foolish that we don't want to listen to any good advice. Srila Prabhupada tells a story of a person. He was sitting on the branch of a tree and he was cutting the same branch. One person down, he said, "Oh fool, you are cutting the same branch, you are sitting, you will fall down." But this foolish person, he said, "Oh, this person is envious of my position. That's why he's telling like this." That is the situation of people of the world many times. Material civilization makes a fool of everyone. Material civilization tells us that if you enjoy the things of the world, you'll be happy. Run behind the mirage of illusory happiness and you will get it. But Bhagavad Gita and all the scriptures, they tell again and again that if you want to be happy in life, you have to give up the pursuit for material things. Yehi samsparshja bhoga dukkhayo naya evate adyantavanta kaunteya nateshu ramate buddha. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Yehi samsparshja bhoga dukkhayo naya evate. The pursuit of happiness in this world gives only misery. Therefore, the intelligent person does not run towards the illusory happiness of the world. The happiness of this world is very, very limited. There is a story about this which comes in Mahabharata. What is the happiness of this world? People say, "Arey, why you all people? You are so very sadistic. You always speak all negative things about this world. But happiness is there in this world. And you are telling about the miseries and death and all that. Why? Yes, happiness is there in this world. But what is the amount of happiness?" There is a story which tells one time there was a man, he was running in the jungle because he was being chased by a tiger. And he was running and somehow he didn't see that there was a well. He fell down in the well. As he was falling in the well, he found that, oh, there is a branch of tree which was coming. He caught hold of that branch and he looked down. There was no water in the well. The well was full of snakes. He looked up. The tiger was waiting. As he was holding on to that branch, he realized the branch started breaking because there were two rats which were nibbling that branch, a black rat and a white rat. And then he realized that there was a honeycomb on that branch, and because because of the movement, the honeybee started coming out and biting that person. So all these things happening. Tiger is above, down, snakes, branches breaking, honeybees are biting. In midst of all this, few drops of honey started dropping from that honeycomb. And this person, he extended his tongue and he was tasting that honey, thinking that, oh, things are not so bad. At least I'm getting to taste this honey. Scriptures say that happiness in this world is like this, that drop of honey. The tiger which is chasing is the time, snake is death, branch is our body, being eaten by the two rats, white and black. That is the day and the night. The honey bees, they are the various problems which a person has to go through in this world. But still, the person thinks, no, no, I will enjoy. That was the situation of Dhritarashtra. Everything was going wrong, but still he was thinking, no, I will enjoy. He said, if that is destiny, let that happen. Let the gambling match continue. Pandavas came back, and Yudhishthir, when he was informed towards his brothers, he said, oh brothers, everyone. Now this is a very interesting response of Yudhishthir Maharaj. How he took this situation. This is very, very important to understand. Many times in our lives, things will not go the way we want. Yudhishthir tried his best. Still, he had to face this again. He said, oh brothers, everyone has to suffer the reactions of their own karma. So whether we gamble or not, we will have to suffer our deeds. And I know that gambling will bring destruction, but I cannot leave the path of virtue. What was the virtue? Yudhishthir had taken a vow to follow the orders of the superiors. That was a virtue for him. Somebody may say, Arey, Dhritarashtra also said the same thing. Oh, if destiny has decided this, let that happen. Yudhishthir is also telling this. If destiny has decided, let that happen. Is there any difference? Are they same? They are very much different. Yudhishthir, he is doing his duty of following the words of elders. Vedic culture is not destiny centered, it is duty centered. People, followers of Vedic culture, Hare Krishna, sorry for that. So, yeah. So the people in the Vedic culture, they follow their duties irrespective of the destiny. We are not so much concerned about our destiny. We are concerned about our doing our duty. The duty of Yudhishthir Maharaj was he wanted to follow the words of the superiors. But Dhritarashtra, on the name of destiny, he wanted to avoid his duty. What was his duty? His duty was to protect the subordinates. His duty was to give right advice to Duryodhan, and he was not able to do that. So, therefore, Vedic culture very nicely teaches what is right type of action and what is wrong type of action. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Karmano hyapi bodhavyam cha vikarmanah, akarmanascha bodhavyam gahana karmano gati. In this world, many times it is difficult to understand what is good action, what is bad action. Therefore, we have to take shelter of scriptures. Otherwise, nobody can say, oh, I didn't know this. Ignorance is no excuse to escape the reaction. So, therefore, Yudhishthira said, we have tried our best to avoid this gambling, but still it has come again now. Whatever happens, I will do my duty. And all the Pandavas, they agreed, they accepted that yes, Yudhishthira Maharaj, whatever you are doing is correct. They all came back. And when they heard the stakes, 12 years of you know vanvas and 1 year of incognito agyatvas, everybody in the assembly, they condemned and criticized this. Pandavas were completely surprised, but still they had no option left. And for sure, Shakuni, he understood. He had planned this wonderfully. Yudhishthir knew that he had no chance to win. Shakuni is an expert gambler, and he had no chance to win. All attempts, you know, Yudhishthir could not avoid this situation. This is very, very important. This requires great maturity and conviction to accept the situation as ordained by Lord and according to our karma. Many times people become very much frustrated, depressed, anxious because things are not going the way I want. When things are going beyond us, people, they go through three stages in their life in a particular situation. First, there is denial. How can this happen to me? How can God do this to me? Then frustration comes. Completely devastated, frustrated. After a long time, one comes to the stage of acceptance. Yudhishthira, he was so very mature. He had firm conviction. Everything is happening by the will of the Lord. Nothing happens without the sanction of Krishna. He accepted the situation, with a very stable mind. Started gambling again, and again for sure Shakuni won. Pandavas lost everything. Now they had to go to forest. Dushashan and Duryodhan, when they saw this, they were rejoicing, they were excited, they were celebrating. Duryodhan, he said, "Oh beggars, now go to forest." It seems that Drupada did not take right decision in getting his daughter married to those people who are now going to forest. Bhima, he was enraged. He could not tolerate this anymore. He got up, he turned towards the assembly and said, "Today I take a vow to kill all the 100 Kauravas. Arjuna will slay Karna, Sahadeva will kill Shakuni." Arjuna was also very angry, enraged. He spoke, "I take a vow to kill this evil Karna. He is so very malicious and arrogant. I will kill him. I will kill all the soldiers who will oppose me in the war. If Duryodhan is not going to give us the kingdom back after 13 years." Arjuna knew for sure that Duryodhan is not going to give the kingdom back. Sahadeva, he said, "O Shakuni, the dice which you have thrown, these dice will become the arrows and they will kill you. I take a vow that I will use my sharp arrows to kill you. Nakula took a vow to destroy the entire dynasty, entire followers of Duryodhana. Yudhishthir, in a humble way, accepting the destiny, he approached the superiors, Kuru elders, Dhritarashtra, and begged for permission to go to forest. All the elders, they were completely ashamed even to look at Duryodhana, look at Yudhishthir. They could not speak anything. Only Vidura spoke. Vidura was the one who was always against all this gambling match. He went to Yudhishthir and said, "Oh Yudhishthir, oh Pandavas, don't be aggrieved too much. Things are happening under the supervision of the Supreme Lord. You rest, be assured that things will turn out in a right way. Now you are going to forest, don't lament. You are already learned in scriptures. Be in the association of sages. Learn all these virtuous qualities even better. Take the blessings of all the sages. I pray for your well-being." And in this way, he consoled Pandavas. Yudhishthira was about to depart. Vidura, he said, "O king, your mother Kunti, she is now old. She'll not be able to undergo the hardships of forest. Allow her to be with me." Yudhishthir agreed. Draupadi, she went to the chambers, inner chambers where women would stay. And all the women, they started crying. Kunti Maharani came ahead and she embraced Draupadi. She said, "O Draupadi, O chaste one, please don't be aggrieved by your chastity and by your service to your husbands. You will surely achieve fortune. Don't lament." She said, "Please take care of Nakul. He is very, very dear to me." And then she started crying. You know, she had never been separated from her sons her whole life. Earlier when they were in Vanvas after this Lakshadra incident, Kunti was there with them. But now, for long 13 years, Kunti had to stay without the sons. She would not be knowing how their sons would be. She said, "I don't know why my sons are suffering so much. It seems that because they have taken birth from my sinful womb, that's why they are suffering." She started crying even more. Pandavas, they came to take their blessings. She became so very overwhelmed. She, turned towards, she started praying. She said, "Oh Krishna, you are the protector of your devotees. Why things are happening to us in this way? Please protect us." Very interesting. Even though Kunti Maharani is so lamenting so much, but still she is not blaming Krishna for all that. She is blaming her own sins, although there are no sins on her part. That's the mood of a devotee. He never blames Krishna. Devotee prays for Krishna's favor, but he never blames Krishna for whatever is happening in their life. Kunti was crying bitterly. She told Sahadev, "Oh Sahadev, you please stay with me you know, on the plea of taking care of mother. Please stay with me." She was lamenting. She was bitterly crying. Somehow, Vidura, he took her inside, catching, her hand. And Vidura, he told Yudhishthir, "Oh Yudhishthir Maharaj, you don't worry about your mother. I'll take care of her." By that time, this news had spread all over the kingdom. All the citizens came to know that their beloved Pandavas, they were banished to forest. They all all came running and they were lamenting and crying, looking at those wonderful, illustrious sons of Pandu, but they could not do anything. So this is a very devastating incident which created a irreparable rift in the dynasty of Pandavas and Kauravas. And this gambling match, you know, it would become the cause of devastating war in the future. So with this, we'll stop here. We'll continue next time. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhuji. It was a beautiful class. Anybody has any questions? We can unmute them. Um, so, Prabhuji, while making our decisions, it's either the heart or the head who's guiding us. So, how do we know we should listen to our heart or our head? Because both seem to be saying what we want to do. Actually, like uh, which would be, how do we know whom to follow?
Yeah, many times it is not a very easy decision to choose what our heart says or choose our what our head says, our intelligence says. But as we see in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna, he was bewildered because he was taking decision based on what his heart was saying. That's what Krishna says in second chapter. Shudram Hridaya Daurbalyam. Oh Arjuna, you're showing petty weakness of heart. So many times it happens that when we take decisions based on our emotions, we may not come to the right conclusions. Listening to our heart means taking decisions based on our emotions, and seldom we come to right decisions when we are emotional. Therefore, it is always recommended that when we are in some emotional turmoil, we should not take any big decisions. When we are angry, when we are upset, when we are insulted, even when we are praised, we should not take decisions in those sort of moments, because all these extreme emotions, they uh, destroy our thinking capacity. Or this whole Bhagavad Gita tells very clearly what to do when we don't know what to do. When we are confused, okay, now should I what how we should take decision. We have to approach a superior personality. We have to hear the scriptures, because it comes many times in Bhagavatam also that I'll tell you one story. After the whole war of Mahabharata was over, and Ashwatthama, he killed 5 sons of Draupadi just to please Duryodhan. And Draupadi, she was lamenting, and Arjuna took a vow that I will bring the head of Ashwatthama. And ultimately, when he arrested Ashwatthama, he could not kill him because Ashwatthama was a Brahmana. Draupadi, she was lamenting. She was telling, bring me the person who has killed all my sons. I want to. And Arjuna said, yes, I will bring that person. You can stand on his head and take your bath. But when arrested and he was brought in front of Draupadi, it is said that Draupadi, she was Vam Swabhav, because women have natural more emotional quotient. So she became so very overwhelmed and she forgave Ashwatthama. That decision was supported by many. But in that, Prabhupada writes that one should not take decisions based on the emotions. Therefore, whenever there is a conflict between the head and the heart, we should use our intelligence, not our material intelligence, our spiritual intelligence. What is our spiritual intelligence? Our spiritual intelligence is scriptures, the devotees, and the spiritual teachers. They are our spiritual intelligence. That's how we have to take their shelter. That's how every day, whatever time possible, we have to read scriptures, read Bhagavad Gita, read Mahabharat, Bhagavatam, to refine our intelligence, to refine our, you know, ability of making right decisions. And that will happen over a due course of time. And even if, we are very well expert in the scriptures, but sometimes situations will come that we will not be able to decide what is wrong and what is right. In those situations, we have to take shelter of some superior uh, devotees, some senior Vaishnavas who can give us right type of guidance. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, even in then contemplating, how does it affect our consciousness? If little bit in details, if you can guide us.
Yeah, that dhyato vishayan pumsa verse, that is very, very important because, the word used is dhyato vishayan, not pashyato. Dhyato means to contemplate, pashyato means to see. As we are in this world, we cannot just go out with our eyes closed. We have to see things. But we have to be very careful what we contemplate on. As it is said, whatever catches our attention catches us. So if we are caught, our consciousness is absorbed in something, we are caught there. So when we are moving around in the world, as Bhagavad Gita, second chapter, Krishna says, you have to be like a tortoise. We don't have to explore each and everything which we see. Just like our tortoise, when he is faced with danger, Kurmo Angani va Sarvashaha, brings all the limbs and the head inside its shell. Similarly, when we are in the world, we don't have to explore all the things which are happening, what all people are doing, where are all people going, what they like, what they don't like, what is happening in the political world, what is happening in the entertainment industry, social media. We don't have to be concerned about all these things in detail. Of course, even if we don't want, we will get the information which is required. We have to be really focused, don't so that we don't get distracted and we don't go into the loop of, contemplation, attraction, and illusion, fall down ultimately. We have to stop the the whole cycle in the beginning. We don't have to contemplate. Whenever we see something and our mind starts telling, oh, just see, this looks very good, we have to understand. We have to catch our mind when our mind starts speaking in the second person. Oh, just see this. You will enjoy this. Taste this. Hear this. We should understand this is our mind speaking. And we have to stop our mind. First of all, we have to recognize that, oh, now my mind is speaking. We have to stop it. Stopping it will not solve the problem completely. We have to replace those desires with the positive desires. If the mind says, okay, let's go and see something, okay, try to find out some spiritual things to see. Try to taste something. Or rather than going out and eating anything, just try to taste that spiritual food, prasad. So that's how we have to break this cycle of contemplation in the beginning, and at the same time we have to replace those thoughts with something positive, because mind cannot be void. We cannot be just thoughtless. We have to fill something in our mind, right? So we have to put right things in the mind, and that will lead to a positive cycle that is conducive for spiritual life. Okay. Hare Krishna. Any other questions?
Haribol Prabhuji, thank you so much. Sometimes it is very difficult to, like you were mentioning over this contemplation is definitely, and you made very, explained it very nicely that it's not that we have to close our eyes to it. We have to see it and then take action on it. That we, if it's not necessary for us, it's not, then we fill our mind with more positive thoughts and not contemplate on those things, but not see it.
Yeah.
Then we can be. So thank you so much, Prabhuji. This was
Thank you.
as usual. It's very very enlightening and very very practical understanding of Mahabharat and Mahabharat characters. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Manoj. Thank you, everyone. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.